How's it going, guys? And welcome back to the Q&A. Today we're joined with Mod Kieran.
Hello.
Mod Rock.
Hello.
Mod Ed.
Hello.
Mod Swing.
Hello.
And myself, Mod Archie. You join us again after, how long were you away for?
I've been away on holiday for 2 weeks. I think I missed the last 2 Q&As. It's not that long.
It's been a very fun 2 weeks.
I mean, yeah, it's been an awesome 2 weeks holiday. Big relaxing holiday. Now I'm back at it.
How was it? Can you give us a brief summary?
Oh,
You
so
toured
much fun.
America?
Yeah, so me and two friends, we toured North England, so the northeast section of the United States. We did 10 nights camping in various campgrounds around like Vermont and New York State.
Yeah.
And just had an awful lot of fun.
I think we're dropping a few frames here. We're going to get that fixed for you guys. I can assume they can still hear us, so whatever. It's a podcast now. Let's go.
Visited various places, went to 2 Six Flags parks, went to New York City for a day. But, I mean, just getting a car and driving around just lets you go to so many awesome places. And like, the amount of different epic views you can see over there is just unreal, really. You don't get that in the UK at all.
Okay, people saying saved. Well done. All right. Before we get into the questions today, we have an exciting announcement I'm going to save for the end. And that being said, we have another exciting announcement we're gonna get through right now, aren't we? The Inferno boss pet drop rate.
So yeah, I collected some data for the Inferno. So I've got the rates for the skilling pets and the boss pet itself. Start with the juicy one with the boss. So there is a 1 in 100 chance of getting the pet on each Zook kill. And when you sacrifice the cape, you also have a 1 in 100 chance of getting the pet. So good luck with that. We've currently had 112 completions and a total of 25,571 deaths inside the Inferno.
How many boss pets do we know?
One.
Just one.
One still.
I've only seen one boss pet, so we're still on rate roughly, so that's pretty good to hear.
1 in 50 if you sacrifice the cape.
Yeah. And the pet rates from the skilling areas within the Tsar. So the Heron, you have a 1 in 160,000 chance of getting it when fishing infernal eels, and then you have to include and take away the level times 25, which is current for all the pets. And the thieving pet Rocky is a 1 in 176,743 chance, again minus level times 25. So I can't remember quite how that compares to some of the other places, but it's still quite a low chance for the skilling pets.
I think we're jumping back and forth between frames right now, but it seems we're all right. Oh, okay.
Oh no, we can't stream.
YouTube was holding us back.
YouTube.
Sorry, guys on YouTube. We're just going to stream to Twitch today. All right, tragic. There was a little conspiracy going on saying, oh, they forgot to put the Inferno pet in until somebody got it, right?
Yeah, it was a standard case of tinfoil hats for everyone. And then obviously we run a sweepstake in the office for who to guess which day the pet come out, and I managed to win it, much to the dismay of everyone else.
It was close though, I think.
Yeah, I think there was only like 3 hours left in the day that I guessed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have been Mod Wolf that won.
Wasn't it Calvino who didn't want to gamble his capes because he thought it might be bugged or something like that? He had the 10 at one time.
Was it Calvino or was it Turney?
It was Turney.
Yeah, it was Turney.
Yeah.
It might have been Turney, yeah.
That guy was completing them left and right.
Given there were only 100 completions, it shouldn't be that surprising.
No, yeah.
Pet, yeah.
So you have to think there's one person that has at least 10% of the capes in game.
I assume they've sacrificed a lot.
I didn't actually see this. Was it true that Wooks did 2 in one invent? Is that just a rumor?
I didn't see it, but
I didn't see it either, I heard it.
That probably didn't happen. Chat will know. I'm seeing a bunch of completions, not a bunch, I'm seeing a few completions now with Armadillo crossbows, which is pretty impressive. Happy to see that. Of course, many people in the beginning said it's physically not possible without the twisted bow. He did do it. I'm going to have to watch that.
He did. He almost did.
Wow.
He did. That's what everyone's saying.
Okay.
Conflicting reports.
There you go. Moving along from Inferno stats, then let's get into the questions. We do have Mod Tom H grabbing questions from the chat. Go ahead and at RuneScape. Moving on. Menace Man says, when are you going to add a requirement to brutal black dragons and lizardmen shamans?
We discussed this fairly recently. We don't have a date in mind yet, but it's something we want to do. Well, we don't know what requirement we want to add yet, but it's something we're conscious of. People want it. And
We're aware there's an issue there, and we want to look into it. I just don't think we've quite decided exactly how to address it yet, but it's definitely on the list.
I think there was some concern that this would get pushed back to like 2 years from now. That's not the case. It's 100% on our radar. When we were talking about this, we were saying a Slayer requirement, but you didn't have to be on task for the Brutals. So what that number is for the requirement, probably yet to be decided, but we'll keep you guys updated. Oh, I finished the question, did I?
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Dave says, could we see better methods of transportation added to Zaya? Suggestions including canoe stations, ferry rings, Piscarilius teleport, and balloon travel.
This would be a good question for Mod West, really. I think at one point he did want to do some of those things. Obviously, when we did the rework, there's a lot more scope because it's a lot more unique, the landmass now. So we can throw those things in there, what people want or what stuff it could be.
There was a balloon rework question not long ago. I feel like would fit with this quite nicely.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that with the ability to just store logs at the balloons and make it a bit easier to.
Let's make it the new meta. Replace teleporting. Balloons is the new way to go.
But I also like canoes. I think it'd be interesting to add a few more systems. I think the current one is badly coded.
I think maybe a new animation.
Tidying up.
You know, the animation where I think free-to-play still has it, but they just don't get an animation, do they? Sitting in the canoe, paddling.
Oh, the mini
thing.
cutscene?
Yeah.
Do they not?
I don't think they do. I don't know.
Not sure.
Anyways.
But I like the idea of the balloon. Imagine taking the balloon from Tavali to there. You know, you got to do that silly mini game to like unlock the new routes, and you got to go through a page where you got up and down through the clouds
and stuff.
Like to there, you have to go through 24 of those streams, and it'd be a right pain in the butt to do that.
Speaking of Zaya, Countley says, will you be adding more details to the lore and history of Zaya? So any more quests or anything like that planned?
Most definitely. I think a lot of us want to expand Zaya even further, whether it's with new regions, with quests, loads of content, things like that. But there is definitely scope and a lot of things that you guys and us want to put in there.
But Zaya's our own thing. Like, it's not present on RS3, it's old school exclusive. We want to make sure whatever we do is perfect, really.
Mm-hmm. We don't have to worry about anything.
Opamong. We've got a QPW in the chat without anyone interrupting him.
Don't embrace it.
You got to enable this stuff.
Chemical says, could we see more impling spawns around the world? Perhaps a wilderness impling or an impling similar to the Kingly impling from RS3.
I like the idea of a wilderness impling.
Yeah, I
don't know much about the Kingly from RS3.
That was, we had a very popular suggestion for wilderness implings come up not too long ago. Well, maybe like 4 or 5 months ago or so. And we've been discussing ways to improve the wilderness. I think this is something that we should start looking at, really.
Yeah. I've always liked that idea.
Yeah. Moving on. Tone says, do you plan to give long and curved bones an additional use with Fossil Island?
I'd say tweet Mod Maz and ask her.
Should be best of person to ask, yeah.
Most definitely.
All right.
I can see why, but they're saying that because fossils and then bones and stuff, but there might not be any link at all in terms of lore and stuff. So yeah, hit up Maz, see what she has to say.
One of the most popular questions today, Aurela says, can we get amethyst darts alongside the recent additions? So why didn't we do darts?
If the community wants it. There wasn't any like big super reason as to why we said no, definitely not darts. Just wanted to focus on ammunition to start with and then take it from there. So if people want more things, we can look into it.
Actually, Maz just got back to us saying no plans. So there are no links with the curved bones or long bones with Fossil Island. Perhaps something to consider, or maybe we're too late there. When are we aiming for
I think
Fossil
the focus
Island?
is to be on the fossils that you're going to get there, to be honest.
Fair. Those things do need a use, though. Coffee says, can the mounted head display in the player-owned house be changed to work like the jar display? Currently, there's a limited incentive to hunt for other heads because you have to remove the current mounted head.
Potentially. I see less value in it compared to the jars. But perhaps.
Yeah, they're a bit
Where you
differently,
click on
right?
it, switch what hand you've got available.
Yeah, because you've got
It would be
obviously,
nicer
you
than
can only show one at a
having-
time, unlike the jars where you can put multiple jars in a cabinet or something.
Yeah, it would be nicer than having like 6 different rooms if you want to show off all the different heads or
Yeah.
whatever. So
One of the things, I believe you can only have one achievement gallery, right?
it?
Or can you have more?
I
than
think
that?
I think you
I
can
think
only
you can
have
have-
one.
you sure?
Or-
I really can't remember.
When it was getting developed, it was at least in the design you could only have one. It might have been changed though.
If you can only have one, then yeah, it is something that we should look at, I think.
Okay.
You only have one achievement gallery, that would be for the jars, and hence why you have got the switch thing.
Oh yeah, they're different. I'm talking about it's the achievement. Is it the hall or the
The
quest
hall, you can have as many as you
Yeah,
want.
that's where the mounted heads are.
I wasn't going to ask this question, but I'm glad you picked it because I'm really
Right.
curious to see what the chat says. Italian says, can boss pets be given a teleport function which will allow you to teleport to the respective boss at any time?
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whoa! Hello.
I mean,
I
come
chose-
on.
I chose that
Oh,
question so
man.
we could kind of offer like a definitive no rather than it keep being asked over and over again.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
no, it's worthwhile saying every single week people ask for uses for their pets, and we almost always just ignore them. We've addressed this stuff.
Never
many
mind the fact that
times.
that use is insanely overpowered. Like,
Yeah.
pets are intended to be cosmetic. Like, we do not want to lock something that's a really good benefit behind a 1 in 5,000 drop rate or something, right? Because it's just insane. You either get lucky or you don't. And the people that don't get it will suffer because of it and will feel aggrieved about it.
Do you think at any point in the game's future, pets will ever have a use?
Well, you can have them fighting in your play-around house. Is that not a use?
That's not a use.
Nah. I don't
It's,
think
it's,
eventually
it's a
cosmetic.
status I'm happy with as it is personally.
People saying please no.
Yeah, everyone's with us. When you first said it, everyone spammed no.
There's just this one poor guy going, yeah, it's a pretty good idea. And then,
All right. Osiris says, what are your thoughts on adding a magic spell which has the same effect as the Tanglevine random from 2004? When casted on a player, if they move during the duration of the spell, they will take damage. The target has to remain still to avoid damage.
So I had to Google this random. I couldn't quite remember it from the top of my head. Essentially, something would appear and sprout around you, and if you moved into it, it would damage you, and you had to stay still.
Yeah.
So as a magic spell, obviously it wouldn't work just like that, but the effect would be the same.
Ash was speaking about, I think, how many bug reports or how many deaths people were having because they just couldn't get their head around the idea.
Every other random event spawns, you run away.
Yeah.
And this one you had to stand
Stay
still.
still, yeah.
So it didn't kill bots.
Imagine being
but
like,
it killed players.
imagine like being in a bit of a rush. Maybe you're like on a farm run or something. You're like, no, I'm not standing still. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like
That'd
the
be
idea of it. It's a cool mechanic, but again, whether the players want something like that or not.
A great April Fool's.
Where would it fit in the spellbook too? It doesn't really have.
I'd say it's a normal
No.
spell.
Normal spell,
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you were to add like a higher level snare spell, like and the
Yeah.
next tier up.
Like a snare without actually snaring them.
Anti-snare. Don't know.
I'm gonna tell any joke I want to, chat. You can't stop me. Martin says, when looting runes, would it be possible for them to go straight into the rune pouch? If you have that same type in there, obviously.
I think that's a pretty reasonable idea. Just like when picking up ammo and going in like your ammo slot on your one inventory. I think that's worth looking at.
Be a really
It's cool
nice
idea.
quality of life update. Free to Party says, would it be possible to have the gem bag hold lower level gems like opal, jade, and topaz?
What was the pause after you said opal?
I remember a stream I was watching.
That's
a while
the second
ago
time I've ever
where
said
you
it on
couldn't
this
pronounce
stream.
it.
Can you? What did he say? What did he say?
You weren't there for that? It was a great meme.
Opal?
I said
Of course
opal.
know.
said opal,
I'm trying
yeah.
to get what you're
Okay.
saying.
There you go.
The thing with that is like, if you've ever learned a word from reading a book and you haven't actually said it in a conversation, which I hadn't for whatever reason, I don't know. Okay, we're going off
So
topic.
do you guys say the car brand as Opal?
What car brand?
Well, in that case, Opal is
That answers
existing.
your
brand.
question.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know. We didn't get to the question. Can the gem bag hold those lower tier gems?
Guess so.
Yeah, I think the motive behind the person asking was to do with silver jewellery, in that the gem bag came out prior to the silver jewellery release, but now that there is silver jewellery, it would be quite useful for them to making it.
I think it's also more of a use when you're gem mining in Shiloh.
Yeah,
Like,
That's what it was for.
underground. So obviously at the moment you can only store the regular gems, and then you either have to drop or chisel or whatever to get the more. So I think it's just a beneficial way to enhance gem mining.
Be nice. Smork Kappa says, can we buff and tangle in normal? I'm assuming he's talking about normal Deadman servers, like it's going to be buffed in Season 6. Note that it isn't actually a buff, it's more of a nerf to the Protect from Magic.
So the change we've got coming for Season 6 is that previously Protect from Magic would half the duration of bind, snare and entangle, but now we are changing it so it doesn't affect it at all.
Yeah, so should we apply that to the normal Deadman season or servers as well? I think anything we're doing to the season is also happening to the normal Deadman servers. Is that not right? Apart from the Grand Exchange, obviously.
There was a couple of things that were, but a lot of things were just season only.
Okay.
But we can review that and then go through and pick and choose if we want to put
That'd be nice.
more stuff in 45.
Cabby says, can we remove the 10k from Security Stronghold? It's typically camped at the beginning of the season. Again, I'm going to assume referring to Deadman.
Why?
No way.
That's
That's
a
like
nice
that's
thing.
one of the most fun parts. Yeah.
That's the iconic part of it.
Like the
You've got,
just
you've
a
got your
slaughter.
one bread from Tutorial Island, and it's got to get you through that place.
Yeah.
Like
Everyone's running
Come
to
on.
get our first 10k, and then we've got just this one
This
guy.
guy,
that's
this
like,
guy
I'm gonna
went there
kill them
last
all
season and
instead.
died.
When you're running through, you're hoping everybody else gets hit but you. It's like,
Yeah.
I think it's fun to watch.
Lord says, can we get minimap markers like in pre-EOC? They allowed you to double-click anywhere on the world map and have a marker appear on your minimap.
The marker pointer system in Old School is actually pretty bad if it's at long distances. Like you'll find that if you're fighting giant mole and it's completely over the other side, occasionally you might see the arrow actually turn up on the other side of the screen, just because the way, and then the way it does work in things like LMS when you're at a long distance, it points in the general direction, so it's not really that accurate.
It wouldn't be very accurate, yeah. Okay.
I mean, in theory, depending on what we can do with the maps, but the pointer won't be amazingly helpful, but it'll say go that way.
Fair enough.
There's not so much a requirement for that because this map, you can have it on the screen at the same time you're running. You couldn't with that map, and I think you still can't.
that's a good point. That.
So there's not as much need for it, really.
But yeah, with all this said, I mean, world map features as a whole, like we could have sat for a year adding more and more features to the world map before we launched it, but we wanted to get it out, and we can just add quality of life to it as with anything else at this stage. If you've got other ideas, I know fairy rings being added to the map and the codes displaying when you have them, and that
agility
sort of thing.
requirements on the shortcuts, that's
Yeah, there's a
popular
whole
one.
host of things that can be looked at. It's just a matter of fitting them in, send them in, send these suggestions in.
Right. Wilson says, can we see more methods added to leveling construction? Currently, the only viable way is to train it up by spamming the same item.
We could make a new item for them to spam, mix it up a bit.
I mean, what else can you do?
So realistically, I think the only option here is like
Construction.
skilling boss.
Todd.
Constructive
Oh
side.
no!
I was thinking, what if
Sorry,
you
don't
got,
say that word around mod ed.
what if you got like an
Figured.
XP bonus for completing a room or something like that? So then you're building and constructing a house.
That's not a bad idea. Like, the way you just sit and build and remove things, it's probably still going to be quicker.
Yeah.
But
They're gonna
if
find
you
the
got
best
some
room.
bonus XP for finishing a full room, I think, yeah, they'll find the best room,
Yeah.
but it's not a bad idea. Actually
definitely not
encourage you
bad.
to build a few varying things.
We were thinking the other day about potential skilling boss, and if we were to consider one, what would we consider? I haven't really seen any massive suggestions come from the community, to be honest. Usually, there's a lot of like really well put designs out there.
They're
Do your
happy
thing, Reddit.
Spamming their chairs away, aren't they?
One of the things I did as a noob on training construction, so I had my house at Roomington, and I'd head out with my pickaxe, mine the clay in the Birmingham mine, wet it at the well, and then build clay fires, come back out, mine, and wet them and go back in.
Just like
Full
an Iron
noob.
Man.
It was the slowest process you've ever done in your life. I don't know what I was thinking.
You're like a really bad Iron Man.
Yeah. Okay. Bertho says, can mining regular ores be improved? Besides iron for experience and runite for money, no one really mines ores in the standard way because they're too bad for money and experience. says perhaps the rate of coal, gold, mithril, and adamant could be improved, or new items could be introduced that increase the amount of experience gained from these.
Have they tried the new mining guild that came out today? Might be what they're after.
Who developed that? Tell us more.
It doesn't change the experience rates for mining stuff, though.
Like,
right?
you don't get any more experience from mining for rocks, but with stuff like the halve respawn rate and the +7 boost, you will get more experience than you would be from mining those rocks elsewhere.
On a similar topic, something that came up the other day was smelting bars from the ores. Like, it's all rubbish, right? Does anyone actually smelt bars?
I used to superheat all day.
People superheat,
Yeah.
yes, people superheat. But actual smelting, like, the only bars that I
At
believe
blast
people
furnace.
smelt are, well, yeah, blast
Iron
furnace, and then gold with goldsmithing gaunts. Like, what if we had gaunts that buffed your XP for rune and the other ores, where you need a ton of coal and it makes it so you can only do a very low number of bars in inventory? That sort of thing. Maybe they don't work at blast furnace, they only work at a normal furnace.
I'm not a smithing expert. I don't know if any of us are. We'll find a smithing expert and ask them that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it wasn't that long ago that we thought about having like rune smithing gauntlets and stuff like that. So if perhaps we can get some player design content based around some sort of smithing of what stuff you can do, whether it's beneficial to use certain gloves at certain furnaces and whatever. But I'm sure they'll come up with something for us.
Moving on. Saw says, can you give the green friend dot priority on the minimap? Currently, the green dot indicating someone on your friends list can be hidden or under a random white dot on the minimap. Since they're on your friends list, they should take priority over random people.
I think it's going to fall under engine, but perhaps that's something that can be looked into. To be honest, I imagine the order's defined by maybe the order they step on the tile or they're paid, something like that. It might not be straightforward to actually change it, but I don't know.
The
It's not
change
my
makes
area of
sense.
expertise.
Yeah. The change makes sense, but whether or not it's possible is a completely different thing.
There
I'm
are
just
some.
speculating.
It's really interesting. There are even some NPCs that you can stand over or under, and you will show still as a white dot to other people. But then there are others which will still remain as a yellow dot on the minimap. Great hiding spots. I don't know. I'll have to look into that one.
That's on the NPC config as to whether or not they'll show above you or not on
Okay.
the minimap.
Maybe it needs a change. RNG says, what do you think about a Karambuan rework? The best combo food in the game exclusively comes from bots who camp one shop. They could use a fishing overhaul to make them more viable, suggesting maybe just buff the Karambuan spot in the northeast corner of the Karamja, right next to the ferry ring. First I've heard of this.
See, my first thought when you asked the question was why not like have them through the fishing trawler as well? A lot of people do fishing trawler for the angler outfit and for the diaries and stuff, so it might give it a little bit more of a use. But then it doesn't really make sense to fish Karambuans from a giant boat.
I was going to say, wasn't part of their introduction via whatever quest they came in, was that they're kind of native to that shore and stuff?
Yeah, there's a very specific way of catching them.
Considering the changes we're trying to make to sharks, it does make sense that we try and make a fish more fishable rather than camped by a shop. But
Most definitely.
Yeah.
it's
There
something to go away and look at.
They're
There was
super
a change
weird to
made
collect.
like a year ago that tried to make Karambuan fishing a bit more easy to do, because previously you had to use the little Karambuanji on the vessel, then you use it on the fishing spot, and then you had to do it again every single fish. So that was smoothed out a little bit, but it can certainly still be made a bit more straightforward. And like if we made the fishing more viable, then arguably we could potentially look at nerfing that shop instead of it providing some Karambuan so easily.
The other option is to have them available for trade via minnow fishing that we're introducing with the Fishing Guild. We did discuss about other fish on there as an option aside from sharks. So.
It's a reasonable idea, yeah.
I'm trying to read what Matt just said. I don't know. I think everybody's just like, what did you just say? Angel says, can we get the red text to appear in the chat box that says when we've unlocked a new music track? Oh, are we muted?
That's
We're getting memed all day today.
if we were to do something like that, by default it would be off, because think about new players. They start running around everywhere. Their chat is just going to be full of, you have unlocked this track. But whether a lot of people would kind of want that sort of thing, But then it would then open up, would they want the tooltips? Because I believe that pre-EOC you could highlight a music track and it'd tell you where it was, or you could select
I would
it.
like to add that.
Something
I
like
think
that?
that's useful when you could right click on a track and click hint and it would tell you like it unlocks during this quest or it unlocks in this area. Yeah, I think that was actually pretty good.
No, me too.
Just some poor person's gonna have to go through
not
all
music.
those tracks
They're
and add the description to them.
No, that's a slight edit job. It's nothing too taxing. Just takes time.
Yeah.
Moving on. Biomaster Zap says, could Grand Exchange box sets be added for magic armors? One was given to Ancestral without a pull. What about Mystic, Infinity, Split Bark, etc.?
Do they not have them?
No, I don't think they do.
I don't see why not then.
Yeah.
I think it's perfectly reasonable to add them back in the day. They're easy to add as well. Ash made a really nice system for them.
Cool. Nonio says, can we get a player versus player skilling minigame? Something where two players face off against one another through the use of skills rather than combat. So you could, for example, trap the other player in a self-built dungeon using various skills: construction, crafting, smithing, mining, building supplies and equipment for an army that is fighting your opponent's army. Sustain a small town's resources by gathering skills for your townspeople.
Could you not just set them on fire with fire making? Is that too much?
The idea sounds interesting. The first one about the dungeon, there's a tabletop card game I've got, which is called Boss Monster. Essentially, you're given the role of being like a boss, and then you construct the dungeon and try and kill like wandering adventurers. So you probably do the same thing with, maybe other player. It'd be a fun thing to do.
I think Left 4 Dead has a similar mode where you have a GM that starts spawning in all the zombies and stuff that the survivors have to make through.
That's the thing, is like this has been
That's a
done in
cool
so
idea.
many other games. The question is, does it fit in Old School? I don't know. I'd be interested to see a much more in-depth idea.
I think it'd be hard to make something that just really fits and works well in Old School.
Of course, then comes the rewards. No matter how fun it is, we know that many of our players won't do it if it isn't efficient, and it doesn't give decent rewards. So
It's an awful lot of no's coming out of that chat saying it doesn't
there you
fit.
go. All right, moving on. Now that we've got Make All, what is the next most requested update you plan to begin working on?
Haven't got Make All yet, have we? Like, that's a bit premature.
Well, now that we're
Someone was
about
really
to
hoping it'd come with this week's update.
No, we do get lots of requests for lots of different things.
What's the most requested thing right now?
Make all.
I don't know.
There's a lot, to be fair.
Once Make All is out, we'll quickly find out what the next requested thing is then, I think. Right now they're still asking for Make All.
Are we not doing another priority poll later this year or something like that perhaps? Then we can kind of focus on areas and things like that and more stuff people want.
Yeah,
or
we've got lists of what players want.
I think Matt just said
Possible,
Australian
so.
servers. That is probably one of the most requested things.
That's true.
Yeah.
well, that's not something we personally can do.
Well, I can't.
There's content that comes up all the time. But we'll just put it in our backlog and go through it. So.
Yeah, needless to say, we're not struggling to find ideas to offer you through the polls. There was another one, which is in here somewhere, I'm just going to get to it now, that came out today, and I was like, why don't we just do this? But I guess there's a reason to poll it. Of course, you guys need to make your decision. And that was to remove the strength experience from Puro Puro. So pushing through the wheat, you get 2 strength experience. I'm like, nobody is actually doing this for the strength experience, right?
What about my Puro strength only Iron Man?
Yeah,
What about those?
Get
that's
out.
too bad. Anyways, so that's something that we're looking to pull to you in the near future, deciding whether we should remove that or keep it and lock that content away from level 3 peers or skillers.
There's one at the top from the chat.
Mod Ghost is wanting to.
Isn't that a last minute
That
reveal?
is-
as well?
Oh yeah, that is of course in here. I've got that in here. Oh, I'm being pushed to say it. All right, I'll say it. Jeez. Where is that on here? I've got a note saying this is a hot topic. He said. How'd you feel about a transmog option on the Inferno pet to change it to look like Zook? So right now the Inferno pet you guys saw is the little slug nibbler thing. Should we change it to the Inferno boss being Zook? If so, we're going to straw poll this for you. we have two options for you, Mod Ghost has said. First option is, in case you didn't know, he doesn't actually have legs. He's in the lava. Mod Ghost would make legs. They look good. They're good-looking legs. Right?
Did he skip leg day?
Maybe. He's in the lava all day. The second option is he would follow you around in his pool of lava. So you would have just his upper half, as you see right now, with a little pool of lava following you around wherever you go. So I'm going to give you two options in this straw poll, legs or no legs.
Occasionally, while you're walking around with this box pet, you know how earlier we were saying we're never going to add uses? If you get a Zuck pet, it's going to spawn Jads occasionally just around you.
Just have a Jad phase in for a few seconds and then go away again.
I just repeat that meme, throw down the Jads.
Salt Jad or Jad Bay.
Show me the legs. Trust that they're good-looking legs. If Mod Ghost is watching, maybe he can tweet them at Jagex. I think he's at Jagex_ghost.
I believe so.
Yeah. There you go. We're going to have the results from that straw poll momentarily. Moving back to the questions up here. Where have we gone to?
If we do the new thing, the new version, I presume we would leave the old one in as a transmog.
I think that was the intention, but I'm not sure.
What if it's
That's the way I was
Yeah.
interpreting it.
So you'd keep the nibbler
Okay.
and then have the option.
Yeah.
Some people were asking about they like the nibbler instead.
There's a mixed reaction. A lot of people wanted the actual boss, but some people like the nibbler and thought it was
I like it.
good as a pet,
Yeah.
but I think it's good to have both and satisfies everyone.
We do have the results back from that straw poll, nearly 2,000 votes. Should the Zuck pet have legs? 66% say no, 34% say yes. That's very interesting. So no, it should not have legs, is what the majority are saying. Just a little pool of lava. That's going to look interesting
As long
in
as it's
certain
not like the
areas.
Kraken. Obviously, if you get the Kraken pet and it follows you, you see the water ripples regardless of where you are.
Yeah.
So it follows you and it's just got ripples of water around it despite being on land or in the wilderness. or
Zuck's got
whatever.
inbuilt lava ripples as well, so
It's fine.
it's all cool.
You know, it's going to be interesting. Imagine swimming underwater Fossil Island. He's going to have a little, I don't know, sheet of lava.
Don't say that. Maz is probably not going to let him down there anymore.
You might not be allowed pets down there, that's true.
Ah, okay. That's interesting. You'd have to make them swim and give them a little fishbowl helmet. We didn't think this
Oh,
far.
how good would that look?
All right, moving on. Turbo says, can you revitalize dead equipment? So he's referring to the Mace Warhammer medium helmets. Let's just call them med helms and square shields. Suggestions here. Mace, for example, should have a strength bonus to match the short sword, as well as a faster attack speed. Warhammer should be a higher strength bonus to match the battle axe. Med helms should remove range and magic attack defense penalties, so they could be used while maging and ranging. Square shields should have a higher range defense than a kite shield. What do you guys think about all that?
I think they're reasonable because we have the scope with all the different types of stats to be able to play around and make them have different niches, rather than like the scimitar being like the best for everything and the kite shield being the best. Like, I think it's already true that chain bodies have better crush, right? Defense than plate bodies.
Yeah,
But
chain
arguably
bodies
not
have a
enough.
little niche.
But absolutely, I think that's perfectly reasonable to have more of those.
I don't know. I always feel like if I'm a Laps player and I'm coming back and I'm going to my go-to, my Rune
Yeah.
Kite Shield, and suddenly I figure out if I'm fighting against anything ranged, the Rune Square Shield is better, which is
You're not
obviously
wrong.
cheaper. It's going to feel weird for me.
This is the earliest armor you play in the game. It's all the free-to-play armor,
Yeah.
the most iconic pieces that we'd be messing with and changing the stats of.
So how many people have you ever seen run around with just a rune sword?
You know
don't, they
anybody
have a
using that as a
Battle axe or
noob.
scimitar.
Cute noobs.
Yeah.
I think with that you'd have to adjust. Well, you might, depending on how viable you make it, you might have to adjust smithing levels and then out values and stuff like that. So it could get quite messy, convoluted.
But hey, it doesn't take long to get to better gear than Rune, does it?
Yeah.
True. A couple questions in the chat. Can lava runes be counted as fire runes when recharging a trident?
This has come up a number of times. Basically, we wouldn't be able to, just easily remember if you've got fire runes and there are lava runes, because you can uncharge it, you can take the runes back out. Now, how do you handle the situation then that it's got fire runes in already, you try to add lava runes? It can get messy. I mean, we'd have to say, oh, you have to take the fire runes out and then you put lava runes in. Or It takes fire runes, basically. Like,
Just say no.
I mean,
you can say no.
it really makes no difference to you. You only want lava runes right now because lava runes are cheaper than fire runes, right? If we go the other way, it'll just go back and forth. It doesn't really make a difference long term.
All right. The answer is no. While killing Alm, if a crystal spawns on top of an acidic square, the acid disappears but is still active. Is this meant to be?
There's a job in the system, and has been for a few months, to actually investigate what I can do about this. Might be able to do something. Most likely, I'll be able to disable the acid when it's like the visible part of it's gone. See what I can do.
Okay. Adam says, this update gives us another 5 items, and it's been ages since our last bank upgrade. Can we get more bank space? Modash actually replied to him on Twitter. He said, no, but we could potentially offer a second bank storage that would be unable to be displayed alongside the existing bank for easy transfer. He obviously didn't say how long that would take. He just said that's possible. What do you guys think of that? I'm thinking, like, we've already asked for this. Well, PKers have for ages, so you can store your separate PK loots, so you know your DSIMs aren't going into your collection, etc. You could.
Seems a lot of people like that idea.
You could use it just to track.
I think
kill stuff from Slayer.
As long as people are very well aware that you can't interact between the two banks freely, apart from perhaps moving the storage box to the bank rather than putting the bank in the storage box. So a lot of people could be saying yes, but not fully understand that you can't literally go, oh, bank, actually, I'll move that to my storage box, or that you'll be able to, like, necessarily withdraw from your storage box or whatever, depending on how we do it.
Sort of thing that if there's big support for it, and we can kind of work out how we want to implement it, maybe we can look at a really detailed devlog, like detailing mechanics and how it would work, and then see if you still want it.
It definitely does come down to, as I'm sure Ash would be saying if he was on the couch, how long this would be taking, and that this wouldn't be taking priority over updates like Fossil Island, obviously.
Yeah, there's also another thing. We were discussing the rough idea the other day. Like, we don't really know how you feel about it, but in exchange for, like, verifying your email address as a sort of incentive to make sure you got the security on your account sorted, like 50 extra bank spaces if you verify your email, that sort of thing. I mean, we're obviously skeptical about it, whether the community would be for that. So I think it's perfectly reasonable for us to just ask you guys what you actually think about doing something like that.
Right. So essentially, should we reward you with more bank space for securing your account the appropriate way? I don't see a single no. That's
very
pretty
overwhelming.
positive.
But I think the 2 most voted polls that have ever come out of our poll system are like 98+%, and both of them were on bank space.
Yeah.
I don't even think we need to straw poll this one. This is obviously a very supported idea. Good to know. Moving on. Jedi says, can you add a destroy option to the crystal bow and shield to make them go back to crystal form? So at the moment, if you get a really low degraded crystal shield, you have to just go and find a monster that will hit you until it disappears.
That's perfectly reasonable. That's an annoying thing to have to do, isn't it? Like, absolutely.
Okay. Skiller says, can you let the nibblers spawn inside each other all the time? If they split up at a hard wave and your pillar is low, it's GG.
This is when, I mean, I had this go both ways from different people, but I mean, it's a fair point. Like, it sort of feels a little unfair when you're on a hard wave and suddenly you just get screwed a few times in a row.
I feel like, mind you, I haven't done the cape and I don't plan to anytime soon. I feel like this is one of the key mechanics that makes it very difficult. Like, if you do have to prioritize going off and killing the stranded one, or protecting yourself and maybe sacrificing a pillar, those are decisions you need to make in there. How much easier are we about to make it if we do this?
That's what I mean. Like, some people said they like it because it throws them off every now and then. Yeah.
Something to consider. Maybe a bit more for just a discussion here. Blue Potion says, if the new bolts require 4 skills and rune bolts require 3, and as broad are ADDI equivalent, will you add an enchanted variant to the new bolts? He has a couple suggestions.
I think we discussed this at length, perhaps me, yourself, and Mod Wolf. Always questioned, like, so you're doing this, why aren't you going to enchant them? Or should we enchant them? Or No, I
there
don't
was
want
a
to.
there was a discussion about enchanting, and I remember at that point Maz turned around and said, no, because enchanting bolts is currently a mess, like code-wise, from what it sounded like. Not only that, just like in-game, like people aren't really a fan of the way enchanting bolts works at the moment, because there's some enchanted bolts which have a decent effect, but because you put them on such a low-level bolt, they never get used. So people asked us to look into that, and it's probably best we do look into that before starting to add new bolt tips and whatnot.
How about a brand new enchantment for the amethyst tipped bolt? So obviously we've got each gem has its own enchantment, right? What if amethyst has its own? I mean, we'd have to come up with something, but
I thought you had an idea.
no.
I was waiting for it.
Or you're pitching something. Then,
Yeah.
Well, seeing as they're broad bolts, and broad bolts are typically used, like, obviously they have the niche of the Slayer monsters, you could have something related to that.
His suggestion was, if I can
I've
find
got an idea.
it,
Oh,
the ability
here we
to
go.
You go
the
first.
ability to steal prayer or defense. Prayer is already on a very low tip. It's like sapphire or something. Defense, though, that hasn't been done.
I could work. My idea is actually something related directly to Slayer. That on a Slayer task, if a monster's less than like 200 health, you've got a chance of just one hitting it. A slim chance, like not so it's OP, right? But a monster on your Slayer task is reasonably close to dead, like less than 200 health. That'd cover most creatures, frankly. And it just goes bang, dead.
Less than 200 health doesn't make a
It covers
monster
most
close to
creatures.
death.
No, it covers most creatures, but it
So you're
avoids
saying-
bosses.
Anything with less than 200 HP, you have a chance to one-shot.
Hey, you should also it could be 1 in a million chance of fucking, right?
Then it's dead content.
We give them Zar tasks.
That's what I'm saying. It would
They
be
go and do
balanced,
jab.
right? It wouldn't work on bosses, but
Right.
I mean that sort of thing. Less than 20% health, right? That sort of thing. 50% health, rather than an exact number. but
What about the percentage?
It's fun.
Hang on. So you know when you have the automatic death for things like gargoyles to automatically use your rock
Yeah.
hammer, I think that's when it goes to something like 5% health, something like that, where you have an
Yeah.
auto kill effect when it's so low. Would seem perhaps more reasonable, but not when someone's got less than 200 health.
But come on, this is a Slayer task, right? You wail through these things, right? A lesser demon, come on, you kill them in like 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Is it really saving that much if
What
you
about noobs?
save the last 5 seconds every once in a blue
What
moon?
about a noob who takes 2 minutes to kill a lesser demon?
Also,
You've
Haven't
just
they-
halved his kill time.
right,
It's like
no,
a
never mind that. But
Isn't it
consider,
61
right,
range requirement?
also consider how
And
many people are
65
actually going to be
Slayer, yeah.
using broad bolts to kill all their Slayer tasks.
True,
There's
yeah.
only the odd task you'll be using it for,
Everybody else
realistically. It's
uses
still
blowpipe.
not going to be better than taking your blowpipe or your whip. And it's just just throwing out an idea, right? To me, it sounds cool. That could just proc on a Slayer task and go and just.
I feel like this is one we
What-
can maybe look into some more.
What about if it has the chance to proc a random bolt tip effect?
Reminds me of insta-kill darts.
Yeah,
Just a little bit.
I'm seeing a lot of moving
I am
on
seeing
in the
some
chat. I
moving
think
on
it
in
might
the
be
chat.
time.
All right. Jack says, can there be an extra scavenger added to solo raids? One spawn is just terrible, specifically being a small one.
I know this comes up a fair bit, doesn't it? I mean, we did make a change already that made the small ones drop 2 drops instead of 1, and the big ones still drop 3. Maybe more can be done in a bigger team to help out, but
can we not just introduce that if there's little ones, there's more spawns? So you got more to kill.
there's something to look into because clearly there's still a fair amount of grievance over it. And it's also RNG, it's 50-50 whether you get the small ones or the big ones.
Suggestion saying minimum of 2. That could work. Regardless, we're going to be grabbing some more questions from the chat because we have just stormed through all of these. I'm realizing no Matt, no Ash today. No stories.
Come on, Tom Hitch, get some questions in.
There's one from Count who says, can you give the Elder Maul a special attack? Perhaps follow it up with what the special attack should do.
None of the weapons came with a special attack, did they? From raids?
Dragon claws.
Claws.
No, I mean the
Dragon.
top
Oh.
weapons, the Twisted Bow, the Die Wand, and that more.
Well, the Dins has one, obviously.
Yeah. But I'm talking about the 3 top tier weapons that were
Right.
released.
The fact is, the maul is so dense that
Doesn't need one.
Doesn't need one.
Yeah.
That's my thinking. Way of
It's a
thinking.
special in itself. You just switch to it and go bang,
Yeah.
60, dead, right?
Not seeing any suggestions in the chat.
Or maybe it's just a
apart
guy
from
that's
no's.
bought an Elder Maul and can't get enough
Yeah.
PKs with it yet or something.
You know, since I roasted that guy for asking us to buff the warrior ring because he had like 1,000 of them, nobody does that anymore.
Never trust. Never trust.
Iron says, "Can we get a Trollheim House portal?"
Is that a portal in the house or a portal to the house?
I think
In the
we
house.
don't necessarily we don't have portals for the redirection scrolls at all, do we?
Well, there is a teleport to Trollheim on the standard spell book. It's just a standard spell. So
Yeah,
I
I
can
think-
understand why they'd want it adding, especially since we added most of the others when we did that update a few
I
months
think
back.
people prefer to use teletabs, obviously, because it's slightly quicker and obviously you don't have to go to
If-
your magic book to use
If
it.
you're ever going to God Wars and not the standard spellbook, it's a pain, right?
There's, yeah, a lot of people, obviously, you take 2 Trollheim tabs, use one to go up there, revert the second one,
Yep.
and then run in.
For farm runs.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So obviously this is
Consider.
something that was done in RuneScape, that they allowed you to get there with the tablets.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind adding more house portals around. I think it's a perfectly reasonable thing to do. Move your house to a few different locations.
You got
We added ones there.
Convince Dad to let you live there.
Okay. Here is a new question. Can we Repol Sailing? It only failed by 1%, and that was a long time ago.
I'm pretty sure it didn't fail by 1%. Did
I didn't think it did.
I thought it failed on like 68.
I can't remember.
It wasn't 74, that's for sure. But I mean, right now we still don't feel like it's really time to add a new skill. It's not coming up often. There's not much demand for it in the community.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe one day, but we don't feel like it right now, at least, unless there's a sudden change in the community and what they want to see.
I mean, Twitch isn't indicative of like the wider player base, but you can already see lots of division in the chat. So
A lot of
I think
memes.
that's the answer. Is no.
I can see a lot of memes in the chat,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which normally means they don't care.
We've got to be very cautious with a skill. I mean, because this is obviously the biggest game-changing things you can realistically add to the game. And it's old school, so we've got to get it absolutely spot on, and the community's got to be really behind it.
So I was just thinking, we had a big meeting the other day where we decided some of the things we're going to pitch at RuneFest to talk about. We obviously, I think, is it obvious we want to keep all of that stuff a secret? What did we do
Yeah.
last time? I'm so excited.
Me too.
Some of the stuff is like,
Well,
you guys will be blown away.
You've probably heard about some of it before, but
Yeah.
yeah, we're starting to put the RuneFest presentation together, and it's exciting. It feels like things are moving along, and
There's a lot to it. One from Bo says, "Can we get a 1 in 3,000 chance to get a frog pet
just
when trading in frog tokens?"
stop the question there.
I did stop the question. Oh man. All right. That answers that. Explorer's Ring 4 to restore 6 times 50 energy.
So what does it currently? Is it currently 3 full restores of your run energy per day?
yeah.
I think that might be why
I
they're
think
asking
that-
for
yeah,
that.
I think that's a much better.
Lots of
change.
yeses. They seem to want it.
Or are they still talking about the
It might
frog
be the frog
tokens?
pet. It might be either the frog pet or the explorer's ring. I'm not sure.
I think they're talking about the Explorer's Ring because they're not talking about the frog pet, surely.
Yeah.
Well, there's still frog emotes in the chat.
Yeah, but that's just because Twitch chat is like a parrot, and no matter what they hear, they'll try and find the most similar emote.
What's
and
your
then say
favorite
it.
Twitch chat emote?
I think mine's a little obvious, isn't it?
The second you say it, the whole chat's gone.
Yeah, they will
You
say
gotta get rid of the
Keiko now.
frogs.
So it's
Right,
random
Because
now.
they,
Senpai says, "Can we get a fairy ring for Cerberus that you unlock with a unique, untradeable drop that's 1 in 512?" So a drop that gives you a fairy ring.
It's new.
Well, why don't you just go buy the can you buy Cerberus scrolls? No,
No,
they're
they're
untradeable,
untradeable.
aren't they? Could we not just make those tradable?
no, get 70 agility.
Get
so you can
good.
take the shortcut. Or
Yeah.
80 for the other one. No, we made them untradeable intentionally.
Ah, okay.
How many do you have? All right, I think I still had an extra one here. Geert says, "When hunting with Ironman and FCing, I can no longer pick up the traps when logging back in." Oh, sorry, DCing. Can this be fixed?
But as Mod Tie H just pipes up and went, no. And we get asked this quite often, and it is one of those things that they're tied to your account via the temp ID, which when you DC or when you log out and log back in, it changes. Therefore, it registers them as not being attached to you, which is, I know, weird or odd behaviour, but unfortunately that's just the way it works with the system that we've got. If we were to get the 64-bit stuff, it eventually
One day I will sort it.
we'll probably be able to fix that, but that's quite a way off for anything we want at the moment.
There's a question in the chat saying, can private chat be made scrollable? That'd be interesting.
Could we, if we just added... Is it not?
You can't do it now.
No, you can.
Definitely
If you put it in your chat box, obviously you can look at your
Yeah,
history.
Oh,
in
okay.
the above.
In the
Perhaps
above
that's something that can be
section.
looked at there. I mean, obviously right now it's just text over the game window, and if you're scrolling something else in the game window, a couple of things to look at and see how we'll implement it.
Yeah, so we're talking when it's on the screen, guys, not in the chat box, obviously. Can the magic secateurs automatically trim all 6 willow branches, similar to the fruit picking mechanic?
I don't know.
It
if
is one of
can.
those ones where it just takes time.
Yeah.
No, hang on, with the
Is
fruit
there much
picking, no, the fruit picking mechanic takes them one by one.
Yeah, many people saying
I
actually,
don't see
that's a
much
waste.
benefit. How often do you go for willow branches? It's also, I mean, it might not actually be entirely straightforward to change that. Some of the farming code is deep within a lot of logic. As for the fruit trees, you just spam click it and you get it faster.
Didn't know that. I always clicked it and just left it and went
It's slow.
looked at something else.
Actually, let's ask the chat. This is going to be a bit spammy. But of the updates that we told you we're keeping secret, that we're going to talk about at RuneFest, go ahead and spam the chat of what you think or what you're hoping those are, just so we can get an idea. Anyways, next question. Ginger says, can you make it a toggle to be able to disable the tips in the prayer book? Get in the way sometimes when flicking. So when you're hovering over a prayer, it displays
I
this
know
little
exactly what I mean.
info box.
This gets me sometimes as well. You knew they were not going to take that question seriously.
I didn't know that.
Since when would they?
Somebody said quests. That's a serious one.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind the toggle for the tooltips in this prayer book. I mean, where you put the toggle is a question, but...
Are we running out of space for toggles? We're going to need a toggle to toggle open the toggle options.
Togglescape.
But, yeah, I mean, you only realistically need them when you're new to the prayers, and you don't know what they all do, so...
Oh, this is actually something I wanted to talk about, speaking of RuneFest. So some people, I think, didn't catch wind of this. The Infernal Cape, which we've actually got somewhere in the hallway. Don't worry about it, it's all right.
Sorry.
No, I think
Never
we might be
mind.
getting it anyways. The Infernal Cape,
It's happening.
Wooks won it because he was the first person to complete the Inferno. I got in touch with him, said, do you want me to send it to you, or would you rather just...
Is Mod Tom H going to
gonna
model it
display
for
us?
everyone?
Or would you rather just we present it to
Put
you
it on backwards.
at RuneFest? He said he'd prefer RuneFest, so that's how it's happening. Some people were like, oh, you never sent it. You're never going to send it to him. That's what's happening.
Yeah, I already saw a
We've
few
spoken
threads
to
about that.
Wooks.
So I said we're doing something special.
There you go.
Moving over.
Do a spin.
Mod Luna does it better.
Sorry, Wooks, it's contaminated now.
Get off.
Very glamorous.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was cringe. Very ha-ha.
all right. Moving on. Let's get into the Deadman stuff then. I don't think we have many questions coming through at this point. Right. So the second announcement we wanted to make on stream today was the players playing for us on stage at the upcoming Deadman event. That is July 1st, 1 p.m. PDT is when the final hour will begin. The stream itself will start, I believe, 12:30. That's with a 30-minute countdown, 15-minute countdown, and then a bit of an introduction, etc. Anyways, July 1st, we will have Graphist and Alfie Rules, both Deadman streamers. Great to have them. Mazar, first time doing anything for us like that. Mazar, obviously being known for playing with Rot for all previous seasons. He has one of the highest kill counts in all of Deadman. This guy slays every single season, kills absolutely everybody. In fact, has killed many of the streamers. I think he even killed Alfie. So that'll be interesting, especially with him obviously being known for being in Rot. And then Alfie being a part of Lit, the previous winners. We'll have a bit of a clash on stage there. And the fourth person playing on stage for us is the first ever Deadman winner, You Never Learn. So he obviously won the first one. That was a lot of fun. That was a long time ago, though. Since then, he has consistently been coming in like the top 100 every season. This guy plays a lot. He's very good at the game, so to be very fortunate. It's gonna be a really good time.
Sweet. Nice to have some new faces in.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That being said, the next one, the next Deadman event will be at RuneFest. That is September 23rd. There are still some tickets left if you wanted to attend. We'll have Deadman live with many of your favorite streamers and content creators. I think we're going to try to fit as many as we can on stage. Anybody who's playing in the final hour, that is. So you'll see many people playing on stage there. Again, go buy tickets.
Yeah, I think the early bird discount is still available.
Yeah.
I believe I saw a tweet earlier this week saying that it was going to run out soon. So if you do want to come, obviously buy the tickets sooner. I believe they'll be slightly cheaper.
And even at the moment, I think we still have the summer special going on, which is 3 months of membership for the price of 2. So you definitely want to take advantage of that. There's my selling out for the stream. But Deadman coming up, very exciting stuff. It's going to be a good time. That was it. That was my bid at the end.
Yeah.
I think that's about going to conclude the stream.
51 early bird tickets left.
Only 51 early bird tickets left. Okay. It's not
Is
very many.
that for
like however many, over 1,000 people attend the event.
That's
so.
for RuneFest, isn't it? Because I believe we did sell out the
Yeah.
Deadman finale.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's the upcoming,
that's
yeah, the
RuneFest.
Deadman finale on July 1st, that's been sold out for a while.
As is the night before party for RuneFest.
Yes.
So what we're left with early bird wise is now the 51 left.
Just the standard RuneFest event.
Yep.
There you go. Hop on that.
51 out of 55 sold. It's a lot more than that.
All right, guys. There you go. You can see the event in the chat. That being said, that is going to conclude our stream this week. Next stream, I'm going to be out of country. I think ModScreen will be hosting for
I'll be
you
hosting,
guys.
yeah.
Be sending him your questions. And apart from that, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.